How can a man who owns nothing control an empire richer than most countries? The Vatican owns over $11 billion in real estate, including properties in some of the most expensive cities on earth: London, Paris, Rome. It holds priceless art collections that span centuries, works by Michelangelo and Raphael that alone could fund entire governments. And it manages financial assets exceeding $30 billion through investments, donations, and bank holdings. Yet at the center of this staggering empire is Pope Francis, a man praised for his simplicity. No golden throne, no personal palace, no paycheck, just a modest guest house room and a Ford Focus. But is it humility, or is there something we're not supposed to see? Stay with us, because the truth is hidden in plain sight. Let's start with the institution itself. The Vatican isn't just a spiritual powerhouse, it's a financial giant with a footprint that spans the globe. We're talking about a sovereign state that holds priceless art, owns real estate on nearly every continent, and manages billions in financial investments through its vast network. The Vatican museums alone bring in more than $100 million annually from ticket sales, merchandise, and tours. Then there's the property: thousands of buildings, including apartments, churches, schools, and even luxury offices in elite neighborhoods of London, Paris, and Rome. Some of these have been in church hands for centuries. Altogether, estimates place the global wealth of the Catholic Church in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Some financial experts argue that if tallied properly, its holdings could rival or exceed the GDP of smaller nations. And yet, despite this immense influence, most of it remains hidden, shielded by tradition, protected by immunity, and tucked behind centuries-old secrecy. Now here's where things get strange. Officially, Pope Francis doesn't take a salary. He's not on any payroll, despite leading more than 1 billion followers worldwide. But that doesn't mean he's living like a monk. Far from it. Independent reports suggest that his personal net worth could be around $16 million. How? Because while he may not get a paycheck, he has something even more powerful: access. Unlimited, unrestricted access to private jets, 5-star hospitality, elite healthcare, and the finest security in the world. He doesn't own these luxuries, but he doesn't have to. When the church owns everything around you, the line between personal and institutional wealth gets blurry. He chooses to live modestly, but he still moves through the world with the privileges of a global monarch. So is he rich? Maybe not by traditional standards, but also not quite poor either. Behind the curtain sits one of the most mysterious financial institutions in the world, the Vatican Bank, officially known as the Institute for the Works of Religion, IOR. This isn't just a regular bank. It manages billions of euros, holds accounts for cardinals, diplomats, religious orders, and even private donors. But it's also been a lightning rod for controversy. For decades, it operated with little oversight, allowing money laundering, offshore dealings, and suspicious transfers to slip through the cracks. In 2020, Pope Francis ordered sweeping reforms, independent audits, stricter anti-corruption rules, and a restructuring of financial departments. But the legacy of past scandals still haunts the IOR. One of the most infamous, a $400 million luxury real estate deal in London's Chelsea district that unraveled into public disgrace, exposing shady middlemen, mismanaged funds, and internal power struggles. It wasn't just a financial disaster, it was a public relations nightmare that cracked open the church's polished image. What does the church do with its money? A massive portion of it is poured into real estate, and not just churches. We're talking about luxury apartments in Rome, commercial buildings in London's Knightsbridge, entire blocks in Paris, and prestigious properties in Switzerland, Spain, and even South America. The Vatican directly owns thousands of buildings. Many purchased decades or even centuries ago when prices were a fraction of what they are now. These properties have appreciated immensely, quietly turning the church into a real estate juggernaut. Even more staggering, many of these assets are held indirectly, through subsidiaries, trusts, or obscure shell entities that make it nearly impossible to trace ownership. In cities like London, church-owned buildings are leased to wealthy tenants and international corporations at full market rates, generating millions in annual rental income. And thanks to its religious status, the Vatican pays minimal taxes, if any at all. This isn't just faith-based property, it's a well-oiled investment empire most billionaires would envy. So where does Pope Francis fit into this mountain of wealth? He's become globally admired for his humility. Early in his papacy, He made headlines by rejecting the lavish apostolic palace, the traditional home of popes for centuries. Instead, he chose to live in a simple room in Casa Santa Marta, a guest house used by visiting clergy. He wears plain white robes, often without ornamentation. He rides in a basic Ford Focus instead of a limousine, and he rarely wears designer anything. His message? Strip away the excess. Speak for the poor. Walk with humility. But don't mistake his simplicity for lack of reach. The Pope still flies privately, travels in custom-built bulletproof Pope-mobiles, and lives within the world's most secure compound, Vatican City, protected by the elite Swiss Guard. He dines well, he sleeps safely. He speaks from a platform no world leader can match. He may reject luxury, but his throne, though symbolic, is still at the heart of global power. But not everyone in the church follows his example. In fact, some have made headlines for doing the exact opposite. There's the German bishop famously dubbed the Bishop of Bling. He spent over $40 million renovating his residence, which included a $20,000 bathtub and a private chapel dripping in gold. Then there are the mega parishes in the United States, run like corporations complete with private jets, luxury mansions, and security teams. In Brazil, some archbishops reportedly maintain entire estates. In Italy, high-ranking clergy have been spotted in tailored designer robes and chauffeured cars. These public displays of wealth directly contradict Pope Francis's calls for a poor church for the poor. And the backlash has been sharp both from everyday Catholics and secular critics. Some see it as hypocrisy. Others call it betrayal. Either way, the gap between the Pope's message and the reality of elite clergy lifestyles is growing harder to ignore. Pope Francis travels a lot. Since his election in 2013, he's visited more than 50 countries. He wants to be buried simply. No golden coffin, no extravagant tomb, just a plain grave like any ordinary priest. He's also tried to cut costs across the Vatican, trim bloated departments, and increase transparency in church finances. His papacy is a strange balance between old world power and modern humility. And whether his reforms last after he's gone is still a mystery. But one thing is clear, he doesn't want to be remembered as a king in white robes. He wants to leave behind a church that serves, not flaunts. Pope Francis stands at the intersection of two worlds, one built on humility, and a bank more powerful than some governments. The Vatican holds wealth most can't even imagine. And yet, the Pope continues to preach simplicity, service, and sacrifice. So what do we make of this contrast? Is it hypocrisy or strategy? Can a man truly be both poor and powerful? Let us know what you think. Share your thoughts in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon because we've only scratched the surface of the world's oldest empire.